This event gives us an opportunity to talk through some of the most important issues in healthcare.
I didn't know what the signs of a heart attack were.
Health is wealth, we give it our all. Women standing tall, we never fall.
But we still have a lot of work to do, so let's get started, shall we?
Heart disease and stroke disproportionately affect women of color, particularly Black women.
Wake up, new day, the sun is bright. Feeling fine, heart's pumping, I'm alive. Got peace of mind, going for that morning jog. Breathing deep, living life, heart strong. Gotta keep live long, heart strong. Take care of you. Go red for health.
The DMV Links Red Dress event gives us an opportunity to talk through some of the most important issues in healthcare.
I didn't know what the signs of a heart attack were.
Health is wealth, we give it our all. Women standing tall, we never fall.
But we still have a lot of work to do.
Wake up, new day, the sun is bright. Feeling fine, heart's pumping, I'm alive. Long, heart strong, take care of you. Go red for health, so much we can do. Ladies, we've got this power inside. Heart, health, self-care, let's take pride. Health is wealth, we give it our all. Women standing tall, we never fall.
Good evening and welcome, everyone. I'm Jennifer Donnellan, your host for tonight's 17th annual DMV Links Red Dress event, coming to you from the nation's capital at the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment Studio, known as OCT-FME, in the heart of Northeast Washington, D.C. Well, you look absolutely stunning in all of your beautiful shades of red tonight. You are truly ready to go red. This annual event is not just about wearing red, though. It's about saving lives and addressing the #1 killer of women, heart disease and stroke. I am personally so honored to be able to join you as we go red together at tonight's extraordinary event. I am a proud member of host chapter, the Potomac Virginia Links chapter. I'm a former award-winning journalist. And most importantly, I became a heart attack survivor at the age of 36. Hard to believe that was 14 years ago. And I am very grateful for every single one of those 14 years. Tonight, I stand here as living proof that heart disease does not discriminate. It can happen to anyone at any time. So many of us are focused on breast cancer awareness, which is also critically important, and it will be addressed tonight. But we cannot afford to overlook heart disease and stroke, the #1 killer among women. And Black women, my sisters, are disproportionately impacted. Tonight, we join 15 extraordinary Links chapters representing Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia, what we call the DMV. We're doing this in partnership to make a difference. Our theme, live long, heart strong. That reminds us of the power of unity, education, and change. You'll hear from dynamic speakers, medical and mental health experts, and there will even be a few surprises, all dedicated to empowering you to live heart-healthy lives. Let's commit to live long, heart strong together, because we know we do better together. And ladies and gentlemen, our time is right now. Share this event on social. Please use our hashtags GoRed, DMV Links Go Red, and Live Long, Heart Strong. Let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce my girl and yours, Sherri Shepherd, daytime Emmy Award-winning talk show host, author, and advocate for women's health. Sherri, the stage is yours, my friend.
Hey, my beautiful sisters and brothers, too. I am so excited to be here with you for the DMV Links Red Dress event. So tonight we're focusing on something close to my heart, our health. When I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I had no idea it was connected to heart disease. That realization was a total game changer. Did you know heart disease is the leading cause of death for women, especially Black women and women of color? Ladies, we've got to take control of our health. Knowing your numbers, blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and BMI is essential. These numbers tell us what's really going on with our bodies. And when we know better, we can do better for ourselves and for the people we love. Now, you know my girl Kim Whitley and I, we can joke about just about anything. But our health, we don't joke about that. It is no laughing matter. So we've made a commitment to live healthier lives, not just for ourselves, but for our families. And for me, it's about being there for my son, Jeffrey. I want to see him grow. I want to see him celebrate his milestones and live my best life right alongside him. That's why tonight's theme, Live Long, Heart Strong, is so powerful. We deserve to put ourselves first, make better choices, and support one another in this journey. I also want to take a moment to shout out event chairwoman Michelle Bailey, co-chair Krista Jones, and the entire planning committee for creating such an impactful event. The work you've done tonight is truly saving lives. So here's my ask. Take notes, rewind if you need to, and tell your friends to get on this live because we are saving lives tonight. And stay tuned because you just might win tickets to my show, Sherry. That was Kim. I know Kim did that. That's you, Kim. Thank you so much to the DMV Links for hosting this incredible event. Let's live long and heart strong together.
Thank you so much, Sherry. You got us all pumped up. Well, now it's time to shout out some firsts and give away some great prizes. So to the phone we go. All right, first up, Wendy Williams of Bowie, Maryland, Yvonne Gaither of Haymarket, Virginia, and Jerry Grice of Durham, North Carolina. Welcome. You all were the first to say yes to the dress this year. Let's hear from you in the chat. As the first 3 to register for Red Dress this year, you each will receive a signed copy of celebrity chef Cynthia's amazing Heart Healthy cookbook, her delicious Heart Healthy seasonings, and a $25 gift card that you can use to go buy all those seasonings. Congratulations again. Please go to the live chat for instructions on how to redeem all of these great prizes. And there are more throughout the night, so stay with us. Like and share this Red Dress event. How about starting a virtual watch party with friends and family? This event is truly life-saving. Each year, we get so many comments and emails and direct messages about how this event saves lives. DMV Links Red Dress has touched countless lives all over the world. And it's the kind of live event that needs to go viral. So let's make that happen. Amazing speakers, we've got expert panelists, and you already know lots of great prizes and giveaways. All I can say is let's get all the way live in 2025. Now, let's please welcome Suzanne Walker, president of the Arlington, Virginia Links chapter, the chair chapter of Red Dress. Suzanne brings greetings and will introduce our phenomenal host chapter presidents.
Thank you, Jennifer. We are thrilled to have you as our MC this evening. Your incredible heart attack survival story is both powerful and inspiring, and we are very grateful for your presence tonight. Good evening and welcome to the 17th annual DMV Links Red Dress program. I'm Suzanne Walker, proud president of the Arlington, Virginia chapter of the Links Incorporated. On behalf of this event's 15 DMV Links host chapters, we are delighted that you have joined us for this important evening. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all of the remarkable program participants. Their generosity in donating their time and expertise is a testament to our shared mission to go red, to save lives and transform communities. Tonight, we are coming to you with a message to live long, heart strong. Our goal is to inspire and empower you to make heart health and wellness a priority, not only for yourself, but also for your loved ones. Please take a moment to share the Red Dress program link that's in the chat with your family and friends. Throughout the evening, we invite you to use the chat feature to connect with others. Let us know where you're joining from, share your thoughts on the program, and ask questions. We extend a special thanks to our corporate sponsors, national partners, patrons, and small business donors whose support is integral to the success of Red Dress. We are also honored to welcome 3 distinguished leaders of the Links Incorporated who are joining us this evening. Ethel Isaacs Williams, the 18th National President of the Links Incorporated and the Links Foundation Incorporated, from the Palm Beach, Florida Links chapter. Dr. Lisa Lowry Lomas, Eastern Area Director of the Links Incorporated from the Columbia, Maryland Links chapter, a host chapter this evening. And Dr. Sheree Farmer Dixon, National Health and Human Services Director of the Links Incorporated from the Nashville, Tennessee Links chapter, who is also the Dean of the Dental School at Meharry Medical College. In addition to our generous corporate sponsors, the Arlington, Virginia chapter is proud to collaborate with 14 other Links sponsoring chapters across Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia. And it's my pleasure tonight to introduce these amazing presidents of our sister chapters. Michelle Bernard, Capital City, D.C. Dr. Lisa Cooper Lucas, Columbia, Maryland. Wanda Taylor, Greater Rappahannock, Virginia. Katrina Smith, Loudoun County, Virginia. Dr. Lynn Lightfoot, Metropolitan, D.C. Rosalind Daniel Walker, Mount Rose, Maryland. Allison Blow, Old Dominion, Virginia. Dr. Cheryl Simmons Gray, Patuxent River, Maryland. Andrea Edmonds, Potomac, Virginia. Shirley Peterson Barton, Prince George's County, Maryland. Catherine Hogan, Reston, Virginia. Desiree L. Hughes, Silver Spring, Maryland. Dr. Teresa Jackson, Southern Maryland Chain, Maryland. Cheryl Tier, Washington, D.C. The Links Incorporated continues its mission under the Health and Human Services facet to deliver transformational heart health, wellness, and self-care information to the community to change lives for the better. Stay tuned for our live panel hosted by Eastern Area Affiliate member Simone Sanders Townsend, host of MSNBC's The Weekend, along with a panel of experts. Thanks again for being here and enjoy the program. Now I am pleased to introduce our event chairwoman who has been successfully leading Red Dress for the past 7 years, Michelle Bailey, and this year's event co-chair, Krista Jones.
Thanks so much, Suzanne. Welcome to the 17th annual DMV Links Red Dress event. I'm Michelle Bailey, event chairwoman, coming to you from the DC Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, aka OCTFME. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be with you again this evening.
And I'm Krista Jones, your event co-chair. Tonight we come together to champion heart health, health equity, and wellness for ourselves, our families, and our communities.
We've worked tirelessly to put together an incredible program filled with amazing experts and influential voices to inspire and empower us all to live long, heart strong. A big thank you to our 15 DMV Links host chapters for making this event possible tonight.
And we couldn't have done it without the dedicated planning committee and ETAP production who brought this vision to life. To our talented program participants who have donated your expertise to save lives, your energy and passion truly shine tonight.
Let's also give a huge thank you to our generous sponsors you see on the screen. To our platinum sponsors. First, the DC Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, OCTFME. And a special thank you to Agency Director LaToya Foster and the entire production team for making this incredible production possible right here with our host Jennifer Donnellan in their state-of-the-art studio tonight. A huge shout out to blackdoctor.org for once again providing live streaming services. Gold sponsors, Innova, standing with DMV Links Red Dress year after year, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to heart health and community wellness. The McQueeston Group, led by Dr. Maya McQueeston, for your continued dedication to advancing health equity. HBCU Honors, celebrating the legacy and impact of historically Black colleges and universities and their role in shaping leaders. Silver sponsor, Business Management Associates, led by LaWanna Russell, Thank you for your support in helping us continue this life-saving work. And our national partner and collaborator, the American Heart Association and Heart Truth. To all of our sponsors and partners, your continued support fuels this life-saving mission and helps us advocate for heart health and equity.
And a special shout out to both the businesses, large and small, and Links member patrons who contributed to tonight's fabulous giveaways. Your generosity has added an extra layer of excitement to this event.
Also, we welcome our first-time guests, as well as those who participate in Red Dress year after year after year. So, as you enjoy the program and giveaways, remember that heart health starts with us. Take notes, get inspired, and let's continue this journey together.
And don't forget, keep it locked right here. There's so much more in store tonight. Together, we'll thrive in 2025 and beyond.
Thank you so much, Michelle and Krista. We so appreciate your leadership and service. I want to echo Michelle and Krista's welcome to our first-time guests and shout out a few first-timers who have been on the live. Kimberly Paris of Raleigh, North Carolina, Antoinette Barksdale of Washington, D.C., and Jennifer Phillips of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, please join me in welcoming Dr. Lisa Lowry Lomas, Eastern Area Director of the Links Incorporated. Dr. Lowry Lomas is a proud member of the Columbia, Maryland Links chapter, also one of our Red Dress host chapters. Dr. Lomas is a leading voice in mental health advocacy, championing initiatives that promote wellness and resilience for families and our communities.
On behalf of the Eastern Area of the Links Incorporated, as we celebrate the 2025 DMV Red Dress for Heart Health event, I like to bring you greetings. As we commemorate the 17th year of this impactful event, our mission is as clear as ever: to raise awareness about heart health and its profound connection to our overall well-being. This iconic red dress serves as a powerful symbol of strength and resilience, reminding us of the importance of heart health for women and everyone we serve. This year's theme, Live Long, Heart Strong, resonates deeply with my work as a mental health professional. It embodies our commitment not only to nurturing our cardiovascular health, but also to supporting our mental well-being. We know that emotional health and heart health are intricately linked. When we prioritize our mental health, we empower ourselves to lead healthier lives. As we gather for the largest virtual heart health event in our community, I want to extend my heartfelt congratulations to all the DMV chapters that serve as sponsoring chapters. Your commitment to saving lives and influencing change is truly inspiring. I'd also like to give special recognition to my chapter, the Columbia, Maryland chapter, and to our exceptional chair, Michelle Bailey, and co-chair, Krista Jones. Their unwavering dedication and vision have elevated this event to new heights. Together, let us embrace this opportunity to inspire healthier lifestyles, engage in preventative measures, and seek support when needed. Here's to a successful and empowering event that extends its impact beyond today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lowry Lomas. We can certainly take your words to our hearts and to our minds. And now we are also honored to have with us tonight Ethel Isaacs-Williams, National President of the Links Incorporated and the Links Foundation Incorporated, and a proud member of the West Palm Beach, Florida chapter. Her visionary leadership inspires our collective mission. Madam President, welcome.
Good evening. It is an honor to join you for the 17th annual DMV Links Red Dress event. Tonight, we come together to demonstrate our commitment to addressing the importance of heart health. For we know that among the many health disparities we face in the Black community, heart health is a critical concern. So I am immensely proud of the 15 Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia, also known as DMV, Links host chapters. For you have been unwavering agents of change, embodying our organization's tenets of true friendship and a spirit of impactful service. So I truly thank you, one and all. Thank you also to Dr. Lisa Lowry Lomas, our Eastern Area Director of the Links Incorporated, for your very warm introduction and for your compelling remarks linking mental health and heart health. I applaud also our dedicated partners, including the American Heart Association. Their support elevates our mission and our impact. We look forward to hearing from leading cardiologist, Dr. Keith Churchwell, who's also the national president of the American Heart Association, whose insights will further empower us in this life-saving work. We're also proud to have our very own Links member and MSNBC host, Simone Sanders Townsend, who will be leading a thought-provoking panel tonight. And joining her will be several other experts in the field of health, including Dr. Sheree Farmer-Dixon, who is the Links National Health and Human Services Director and Dean of the Meharry Medical College School of Dentistry. And last but not least, we certainly look forward to hearing from actress and comedian Kim Whitley, whose personal heart journey will inspire all of us to take a more meaningful step toward better health. Finally, to all of the Links members, as well as the national, area, and chapter leaders of the Links Incorporated who've gathered here tonight, thank you. Thank you for answering this urgent call to action. For together, we are proving that service, friendship, partnership, and leadership can truly transform lives. So let's get to work and let's go red. Jennifer, my sister, I turn it back to you now. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Madam President, for your empowering words. Heart health is at the core of tonight's event, and it is a privilege to introduce a distinguished leader in this critical field. Dr. Keith Churchwell is the national president of the American Heart Association, a proud national partner of the Links Incorporated. He's also a leading cardiologist dedicated to advancing the fight against heart disease. His expertise and commitment to improving heart health will provide invaluable insights on prevention and wellness. Dr. Churchwell, we are so honored to have you with us tonight. Please join me, all of you beautiful people, in welcoming Dr. Churchwell to the stage with a warm virtual round of applause.
Thank you for that warm introduction, Jennifer. It is an honor to be a part of this significant event. I would like to quickly recognize National Links President Ethel Isaac Williams and Eastern Area Director Dr. Lisa Lowry Lomas for their leadership and commitment to heart health advocacy, and also the 15 DMV Links host chapters, including Michelle Bailey, who has served as the event chairwoman for 7 consecutive years. It is crucial that events that educate, engage, and empower communities to take control of their heart health continue to grow. Initiatives such as this serves as a beacon for spreading awareness about heart disease, the leading cause of death in the African American community, particularly among women. The American Heart Association is proud to have a national strategic alliance with the Links Incorporated, a collaboration dedicated to advancing health equity and improving cardiovascular outcomes for all people. This partnership amplifies the message of prevention, early detection, and living heart-healthy lives. I'm excited to acknowledge Dr. Reginald Robinson, American Heart Association Physician of the Year, who is going to share invaluable insights later in the show. Before I leave, I must stress that African Americans are disproportionately affected by heart disease and stroke. But 80% of cardiovascular diseases can be prevented through lifestyle changes. High blood pressure continues to be a silent killer, and nearly 58% of Black adults often go undiagnosed. So, know your numbers. Know your blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and BMI. These are critical indicators. Make healthy lifestyle choices. Encourage heart-healthy eating, physical activity, and if you're smoking, please stop. And have regular checkups. Advocate for proactive health screenings and building strong relationships with your healthcare provider. Thank you again for allowing me the privilege to be with you all this evening. And congratulations on another impactful event for our communities.
Dr. Churchwell, thank you for your insight and for empowering us to take care of our own heart health, our wellness, for our own livelihoods. All right, let's see what's going on next, y'all. Oh my goodness. Wow. He truly needs no introduction. The dynamic and visionary leader, Governor Wes Moore. Governor Moore, thank you for joining us to support heart health and wellness at the 17th annual DMV Links Red Dress event.
The DMV Links Red Dress event brings us together to focus on heart health. So thank you to the 15 DMV Links host chapters, national and Eastern area leaders, Ethel Isaacs Williams and Dr. Lisa Laurie Lomas, and our event chair, Michelle Bailey. Tonight, you'll also hear from Dr. Reginald Robinson, American Heart Association Physician of the Year, and actress, the amazing Kim Whitley. I'll turn it back over to you, Jennifer. Thanks again.
Governor Moore, thank you so much for those encouraging and empowering words and for the time that you have taken out to spend with us, Governor. Well, our hearts are already pumped up. So let's see who is next. Who is our next big prize winner? And by the way, get ready for this prize. Let me just check the magical phone. Arnetta Lawrence of Woodbridge, Virginia. You are the winner. Wait for it. You are the winner of a Hilton resort stay in Waikiki, Hawaii. Can I come? Can I go? Now that surely feels like a heart healthy prize, and there's more. Oh my gosh, you're gonna have so much fun in Hawaii. Keep it locked here with us. All I can say is let's thrive 2025. And now it's time for our panel, moderated by Simone Sanders Townsend, host of MSNBC's The Weekend. Simone, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, Jennifer, thank you so much. Greetings, everyone. Again, my name is Simone Sanders Townsend, and I'm very excited to I'm back. I'm going to help lead this conversation. Tonight's speakers have already been phenomenal, and you all are about to learn some stuff here, okay? Every year that I've been doing this event, I promise you I learned something new. Heck, I got a new therapist from this event one of the years previously. So buckle in. I am looking, if you see me looking down, because I'm watching the chat on Facebook, okay? You all are very active in the chat. We want you to stay active. We're going to take some questions from the chat, some questions that you all put forward prior to the event getting started. But I might just see something popping in the chat and speak to it before then. You all are looking amazing in your red tonight. I feel all the energy. Let's just be very clear. We needed this, okay? And the prizes and the giveaways, I'm not going to lie. I was trying to see how I could get into the giveaway because these are just amazing. Because I'm a Jennifer. Please take me to Hawaii. Princess Faison of the Prince George's Maryland Links chapter, where you at? You always come through for Red Dress with these just amazing resort stays. My DMV Link sisters are always doing it next level. We expect nothing less. We've got spa packages, y'all. Not just tickets, but VIP tickets to the Sherry Show. Oprah celebrity makeup artist, my friend Derek Rutledge. He's going to have the skincare products, award-winning Mishu beauty products, and more. Again, I'm just wondering how I can get into the giveaways for this because we are not playing. There's so much more to come. So keep it locked right here. DMV Links Red Dress. Tell your friends. Send them the link. Tell them to join us on Facebook or wherever we are streaming live. I know you all have lots of questions. I'm looking in the chat right now. Yes, Link Princess is the best. And the topics that we're going to cover tonight, it's not just about heart disease. It's also about some risk factors that are connected to heart disease. Because let's be honest, right now, so many of us are just very, very stressed. And stress is one of the leading risk factors here. So let's get into the panel now, shall we? Because you've heard about all of your amazing panelists, but I'm going to introduce them one more time. Please hold your virtual round of applause until all of our illustrious panelists have in fact been recognized. And if you want a little more about our incredible panel, take a look at our Red Dress digital program book. You see the link in the chat? We're going to pop that link in there. We worked very hard on the program book, ladies and gents. Please take a gander to learn more about these amazing panelists. Okay, are you ready? I don't know. I'm checking the chat. Are you guys ready? Okay, yes, Deborah. Knowledge is power. We are ready to talk about how we are going to live long, heart strong. That is the theme for tonight with this dynamic panel. And you know what? Before I go any further, I'm just going to do one giveaway. Are you guys ready? I'm going to do one. Okay, let me find my papers. Where are my papers? Okay. This giveaway goes to, virtual drum roll, Donna Brown of Washington, D.C. Donna has been chatting it up, red dress all night long. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Yes, congratulations. Okay, what did Donna win? Donna is the winner of a $100 gift card, B12 shots from DC Drip, $250 value. Let me tell you, the B12 is keeping me up nowadays. A dressy handbag from Forever Treasures, thanks to Janice from the Reston, Virginia Links chapter, and a self-care basket courtesy of HBCU Honors. We all need a little self-care right about now. Ain't that right? Donna, check that chat for more information and instructions on how to redeem your prizes. Again, if you don't claim it, I will. Folks, there are more great prizes coming up. Keep it locked right here. All right. I promised you a panel. Let's get into it. When we talk about heart health, there is no better expert to guide us through than our doctor, because he's our doctor, Dr. Reginald Robinson. He is a name that is truly synonymous with DMV Links Red Dress. Dr. Robinson, I keep telling you, you must get your podcast. We're going to work on this. Dr. Reginald has now ascended, as you heard, to the national stage as the American Heart Association's Physician of the Year. I'm clapping for you, Dr. Reginald, because this is just such a well-deserved honor. Thank you again for joining us. Show him some love and some congratulations in the chat, folks. Dr. Robinson specializes in non-invasive cardiology at MedStar Cardiology Associates right here in Washington, D.C. And his focus is TLC. No, I'm not talking about the R&B group. Total life changes, i.e. helping people prevent heart disease through healthier choices. We're going to talk about some of that tonight. He's a Morehouse man, y'all, a former president of the AHA's Eastern States region, an active member of the 100 Black Men and Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. He's here to break down the warning signs of heart disease, who needs to see a cardiologist, and the real steps to a heart-healthy life, and so much more. Thank you, Dr. Reginald. All right, next we have Dr. Sheree Farmer-Dixon, aka Dr. Sheree. Now, I was just reading about Dr. Sheree the other day, so I was very excited to find her on this panel. She's going to bring another critical piece of the puzzle, the connection between oral health and heart health. Yes, there is one, folks. We have Dr. Sheree Farmer-Dixon with us. Studies actually show that gum disease is linked to heart disease. I bet you didn't know that, because I didn't, okay, until I was reading through my documents. So you have to make regular dental care essential for a healthy heart. So Dr. Sheree Farmer-Dixon is a leader in both of these fields. She is the National Director of Health and Human Services for the Links Incorporated. She is also the Dean of the School of Dentistry at Meharry Medical College. Yes, she's a champion for health equity and access to care. She's also a retired U.S. Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonel. Okay, we thank you for your service, Dr. Farmer-Dixon. And I think it's important for people to know that Dr. Sheree has spent her career ensuring that communities, especially the most vulnerable communities, understand the deep connection between oral health and overall well-being. We are thrilled to have her with us tonight. Next, we got a lot of doctors in the building. Dr. Lisa Cooper Lucas, come through, Dr. Lisa. Okay, stress, anxiety, trauma. I'm feeling it all right now. These are challenges I think that we can all relate to in this moment as we step into 2025. But beyond the emotional toll, if you will, did you know that they can significantly impact our heart health? Well, Dr. Lisa Cooper Lucas is a mental health powerhouse, y'all, a corporate trainer, consultant, a licensed mental health practitioner. She has spent over 25 years working with institutions like Johns Hopkins, Magellan Behavioral Health, WMATA, and even the Defense Intelligence Agency after 9/11. Okay, someone say, resume long, we have the receipts here. She also serves as the president of the Columbia, Maryland chapter of the Links Incorporated, one of our host chapters this evening. Dr. Cooper Lucas is here to show us how mental health impacts your heart health and what we can do to protect both our hearts and our minds for a happy and a healthy new year. Maybe for folks, Dr. Lisa, who haven't, reached that yet this year, they can start tonight. Everyone, text your friends and family to tune in for these topics. Next, certainly not least, is Ricky Fairley. Okay, I love Ricky Fairley. I also love her daughter, Amanda. She's one of my good friends. Black women, folks, are dying from breast cancer at alarming rates. And one woman has made it her mission to change that. Ricky Fairley is not just a breast cancer survivor, y'all. She is a warrior. As the co-founder and CEO of Touch, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance. She is changing the charge in breast cancer advocacy, research, and clinical trial awareness. Her Black Data Matters and When We Trial initiatives, come on now, I'm here for the alliteration. They are actually shifting the landscape of Black breast cancer treatment. It makes a difference. Ricky has been featured on Oprah Daily, The Today Show, and Essence, and she is here to break down the connection between breast cancer and heart health and what every Black woman needs to know. Let me tell you, I got my pad ready for all of y'all. Next, we want to bring to the virtual stage Kim Whitley, folks. Now, Kim Whitley really doesn't need an introduction. You know her. She's funny. She's our girl. But I'm going to give Kim an introduction anyway. Kim has been making us laugh for years. But tonight, she's actually here to share something deeply personal, her own heart health journey. This is the first time many of us will hear her story. And trust me, y'all, you do not want to miss it. Call these people to come on over to the chat right now. From her award-winning podcast, Two Funny Mamas with Sherry Shepherd, to her roles on Netflix and BET, Kim continues to captivate audiences. She is a proud Fisk University graduate, and she has also been raising awareness about heart health. So let's give a warm virtual round of applause to our girl, Kim Whitley, as she shares her personal wake-up call and the steps she's taking to protect herself and those that she loves. Woo, yes. All right, the chat is jumping, y'all. Okay, Kim, I want you to know they're referring to you as Cousin Kim in the chat. So this is what we're working with here.
Hey,
right.
Hey, y'all.
Greetings. So our Live Long, Heart Strong panel, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get down into it. And I'm going to call audible. Kim, can you share your personal story first? And then Dr. Reginald, I'm going to come to you after this because, Kim, I think it's really important that people hear from you because it was a fact I actually didn't know about prior to getting ready for this panel.
Okay. Hey, everyone. How y'all doing? Hello, sir. Hello, ladies. Hello, all the viewers. I'm absolutely excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And, you never think it's important until it, really happens to you. There's so many things that we can support, but this is definitely dear to my heart. But I will say is that it was some years ago that I felt something on my left side, like under my arm. And it was just like how you think it's gas? And it was just like a little funny feeling. But that's why I always tell everyone, you got to know your body. You really have to know yourself and symptoms because it could have been anything. And I always feel something. Sometimes you feel fluttered, but it was enough for me to say, you know what? Let me go check this. And I remember going into the doctor and they referred me to a cardiologist. And then she actually said, I want to give you a stress test. Now I've seen stress tests on the movies, on television. I was like, oh, I got to get on the little treadmill. Oh, that's going to be great. I get on that treadmill and they had me running like hard. I had to run hard on that treadmill. So I'm thinking, okay, we can stop now. She was like, no, you got to keep going. They have all the monitors on you. And something either happened, made me stop, they threw me down and they were like, she was like, oh, it's something's not going on. So we're going to send you in to send a camera up and look at your heart and your arteries. I kid you not. I'm laying there and I see my heart's beating because I don't know why I thought they could stop my heart and look at it. I don't know where I thought that works. And I was like, you're going to do it while I'm awake? And they're like, yes, we need your heart beating. And I could see it on the camera. And I was like, wow. And I never forget, the doctor came in my face while I was laying down watching the camera and said, we see 70% blockage in such and such artery. I said, what? I was like, my mind, I wasn't really good in math. I was like, that don't sound bad. 70 sounds good. They were like, no, we need to put a stent in. I was like, one of those little straws? I said, oh, no. And he looked at me, I said, well, can we do it next week? They said, no, we have to do it now. And you always want to talk to everyone and talk to friends and say, what should I do? There was no time for that. It was either yes or no. And I said, yes. And I remember doctors came from everywhere. I just know doors open like a game show. Doctors came in and they started, doing what they had to do. And a nurse bent down and whispered in my ear. She said, it's going to feel like an elephant is stepping on your chest, but you'll be okay. I was like, what? And all of a sudden I was like, and it was done. Had the straw in my heart. I called my cousin, Cornice Enix, who's heart surgeon. And I said, they put a stent. Was I supposed to do this? And the one thing he said to me, he said, well, be glad that they found it before it found you. And that was that. So I had to draw.
See, that's a word. I thought it was very important that we start with Kim's story, because Dr. Reginald, as I'm listening to Kim, it makes me think about, I don't know if everybody just has a cardiologist on call, right? But I think that many people are uncertain about when to consult a cardiologist. And in Kim's case, she said she felt something, it didn't feel right, and she went to the doctor, and the doctors were like, hold up, we're gonna have to elevate this. So can you share some just key signs and symptoms that indicate that it's actually time to see a heart specialist and not the urgent care physician?
Well, as always, thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure. And, I don't see it as just an invitation. It's sort of something that, we get these degrees and we're supposed to give back and come on these shows and programs and really promote for our people. That's something that many of the HBCUs and the importance of HBCUs are, that once you finish these careers and get into your career, that it's not just yours. You have to come back and do this. What she said was important, that she realized her own symptoms from her body. It can present in many different ways, especially in women. It may not be that crushing elephant that she talked about. It may be that you're just getting winded more than usual. So knowing your body and knowing when to go first to actually get that done. And by the time you get, I like using an analogy. So Miss Whitley, imagine if she is 40 years old and you go into a 40-year-old house and you've been pouring grease down the sink. We're always told not to pour grease down the sink. That grease could be like diabetes, right? And your plumbing. So that plumbing is just like your arteries. You would never know unless you just actually cut that plumbing open in that 40-year-old house and you see plaque in that artery. The stress test helps to sort of bring things to account. And if she didn't go, as her friend told her, that could have been something tragic that would have led to a heart attack. So first and foremost, she listened. And certainly that's an example of someone that should go see a cardiologist. If you have major risk factors, if you have diabetes is just like having heart disease until proven otherwise. I can't tell you how many people, and even physicians, primary care doctors, they just look at that number, or your A1C is this, or you have diabetes. It's bigger than that. You look at all the downstream things that diabetes actually cause, one of the worst disorders that you can have if it's not controlled. It affects you from head to toe, affects your vision, increases your risk of stroke, increases your risk of heart attack, leading cause of dialysis, and the number one cause of losing your feet with amputation. So if you have diabetes, you absolutely should probably get a further screening from a cardiologist and or an endocrinologist, especially if your primary doctor is not being aggressive with lowering that. If you have a strong family history really means first degree male relative like your father or siblings with a heart attack in their 50s, and first degree female relatives like your mother or sisters having heart attacks in their 60s, not family history of someone had a heart attack in their 80s. By that time, we all will have some plaque in our arteries and be at risk for having heart attacks. So strong family history, certainly you should be going and getting evaluated. If you have multiple risk factors, you're a smoker, you're diabetic, you're hypertensive, certainly go and get seen by a cardiologist. There's so many disorders that you can be seen by cardiologists for. This is one of them, coronary artery disease, but you have hypertension. Dr. Churchwell mentioned that that's the silent killer. If you're not really looking at that, that's the leading cause of congestive heart failure in our folks, because you don't feel it. That blood pressure just beating up on the heart as well as the kidneys, one of the leading causes of dialysis. So if you're not getting adequate control of blood pressure, he mentioned about knowing your numbers. We'll talk about that at some point as well. And it's not being controlled, then you certainly need to get some extra help before it's too late.
Dr. Reginald, I was taking notes right here. I have a follow-up for you before we bring some other individuals into the conversation. Someone in the chat wrote, are young Black women more at risk for heart disease? And it made me think about some of the maybe myths out there, or things that we think are myths that are actually true surrounding heart disease, because there are a lot of misconceptions. what are some of the most common myths that you've encountered? And are young Black women more at risk for heart disease?
That's a big myth, that they're not at risk. So 1 in 3 Black women and women in general die of cardiovascular disease. So someone's dying of cardiovascular disease now, and physicians may not take it as serious, or they may miss some of the symptoms because it can be more subtle. Like all of a sudden you used to go work out all the time, and now you can't because you feel short of breath. You're thinking about that crushing elephant going up to your jaw and going down your arm. That's not how it always presents. I've had people that after exercising, they had right elbow pain, but they know that was something different, right? And that was with exertion. So if you ate a big steak and you started having some chest pain and you belched, or you drank some Tums or Maalox and it went away, that may be digestive system. Or if you did some bench presses and you started doing push-ups and now your chest hurts when you move around or touch it, that's probably more musculoskeletal. But the red flag always should go up when you're looking at exertion relationships of symptoms. And Miss Whitley had the chest pain when she was laying on the table on the angiogram suite. When they blew the balloon up, that stopped all the blood flow. And as soon as they let that balloon down, now she got that blood flow back, then she felt better right away. So that's what happened to you when you felt that elephant sitting on your chest. That's a similar thing that would happen when someone's coming in with a heart attack and say that someone was sitting on my chest. That's a classic symptom. And we don't want to always get to that. When I offer a lot of my patients, most in general, when they're 40 and have family history or smokers or diabetics, to go get 2 things. And one in particular, coronary calcium scan. It's a scan that you did a CAT scan of the heart, costs about $100. And you see that stuff in your plumbing before you even get to the symptoms, because a stress test, if you're not having symptoms, won't necessarily pick up anything. You can have a 60% blockage in your artery, and every stress test you take will be normal, right? Because the artery is not blocked enough to limit blood flow. It's when it gets to that 70% that limits the blood flow. It was a coronary calcium scan. I think you were about to ask me. You don't need it now because you already have established coronary disease, but you can share it with other people that haven't had a stent put in to get a coronary calcium scan. It's paid out of pocket, but it's worth the investment. And something called lipoprotein A. A good friend of mine who's doing some work in this area asked me to look into it a little more. They were going to do some marketing because there are going to be new drugs coming out for this thing called lipoprotein A. It's a different particle of cholesterol that it's established by the time you're 5 years old, right? So if you have this elevated lipoprotein A, that increases your risk of developing cardiovascular disease down the line, right? So 75 is a normal number for that. If it's over that, then you start to look at being more aggressive. And the way I use it is, if I have someone that's on the fence, like, my cholesterol's up, but I don't want to be on any medication. You know, we're suspicious of everything. And you know, if you give them some data points, okay, you have this calcium score now that you have a score of 500. Normal is 0, of course, right? You don't see hard plaque. So that says the likelihood of having a heart attack in the next 10 years will be very small. Less than 100 is mild, 200 to 300 moderate, and over 300 is severe. But I have patients that have plaque numbers in the 2000 range. So you have 4 main arteries, and they all branch off. So you can get plaque in all of those arteries, and they score them. And that gives you a score, and they give you a basic on. So if I'm 56, they'll say you're at the 75th percentile for your age for the amount of plaque. And then if you have that elevated Lp(a) as well, now you need to be even more aggressive with getting your life in order. That's a motivator to get you up and start changing your diet, getting to exercising so you can prevent that. So once plaque is established, it's there, just like plumbing, right? Everyone doesn't need roto-rootering, right? If you go into a 50-year-old house, I always use this analogy. If I look at someone's age, say they're 70 years old, and I say you cut open the plumbing in a 71-year-old house, you're going to see something, right? It doesn't necessarily mean roto-rootering, but you're going to have some established plaque, and that calcium scan will pick that up to give you some motivation. And the Lp(a) is only done once. You don't need to do it more than once.
So, Dr. Reginald, I just want to underscore for the folks out there, that was a coronary calcium scan. It's about $100, ladies and gents. Ask for your coronary calcium scan, because the other thing I heard is that when you hit 70% on the blockage, that's when it manifests on the stress test. But if it's 60%, they're not gonna see it.
Right, and that 50 or 60% can, you get a stress test one day and it's normal, and you have a 60% blockage, that plaque can just break off the next day and you have a heart attack. So people think that just having a stress test that their arteries are clean. That's not what that means. You know, if you have a high exercise level and you're exercising, that says the likelihood of you having any problems will be smaller, but it doesn't say your arteries are clean.
See, Dr. Reginald, this is why you were here. Okay, Dr. Sheree, can we bring you in here? Because what is the connection between oral health and heart health? Because this was an aha moment for me.
Well, thank you for the question, and it's an honor to be here. But when we talk about our oral health, and you always hear, you need to go to the dentist, you need to get your teeth cleaned at least twice a year. Well, what's called plaque and calculus can build up on your teeth if you don't do regular brushing, flossing, you don't get regular cleanings. And we all have bacteria in our mouth, but if you don't get regular cleanings, or you don't have that plaque and calculus builds up, then what happens is that means that you have a lot of bad bacteria that's building up in your mouth. And just like the blood is flowing through the rest of our body, the blood is flowing through your mouth in your tissues. All of your teeth have nerves. And so that bacteria can get into your bloodstream, and once it's in your bloodstream, it can travel. And it can travel, and if it's very bad, and if it's very bad bacteria, it can build up, it can contribute to plaque buildup in your arteries that can lead to and contribute to inflammation in your heart. And so it's important, and a lot of times, people don't know that. And this is only recent studies within the last 10, 15 years that are really associating oral disease, or what's happening in your mouth, and how it can impact heart disease, how it can impact diabetes as well. And so you can say, I'm brushing my teeth every day, I brush them twice a day, I'm flossing my teeth, but it's very important to get those regular routine checkups and get those what we call professional cleanings, because those professional cleanings will remove plaque, calculus from areas that you may not necessarily be able to reach with the regular routine brushing and flossing every day.
So, Dr. Sheree, you're telling me, going to get the high power washer that they have on the section on sale at Costco right now, and my electric powered toothbrush is good, but I still have to go to the professional.
You still have to go to the professional. And that's not to say, I don't want people to think that, if I've got inflammation, and you'll know that something is wrong. If you're brushing and your gums are bleeding, or if you're having you're using mouthwash and you're having bad breath, and it's not going away, or you're having all of a sudden you're doing all of the right things and you're having bone loss that they can't attribute, that could be poor circulation that's going on. And so all of those indicators, you don't want to go to Dr. Google and look it up and say, you know what? Well, Dr. Google said I just need to brush better, or I need to brush hard.
The WebMDers out there, that's some of y'all in the chat now.
You want to go to the professional and have them to look. We take care of ourselves. We take time to do to go shopping, to buy groceries, take time to go to the dentist and get a professional to examine you and to take a look at your teeth, take x-rays, because a lot of times you can look and you can smile and say, hey, my teeth look wonderful, but those x-rays can show things that may be going on that you're not aware of, and they can be associated with heart disease.
This is so important. The connections are being made. Folks in the chat they are engaging. Okay, Dr. Lisa, let me bring you in here, because mental wellness, self-care, mental health, it's a hot topic right now. Everybody and their mama and their cousin is stressed. And I do think that sometimes people, we're stressed and we're like, oh, this is just, it's just this week, I'm gonna just power through, or, you get a migraine or something. But talk to us a little bit about mental health's impact on the heart specifically, and how stress or anxiety and trauma can affect cardiovascular health.
Well, that's a lot in one sentence, but let me try to sort of sort it out for you. Stress is something that we're all very familiar with, but let me talk a little bit more from a historical perspective for people of color, especially Black people. There are a number of studies up now that have validated that the trauma that has been experienced over generations is passed on through the generational process as the primary carrier for the gene that actually has captured the trauma over history actually comes from the father who impregnates the mother. So the trauma that we experience now has historical value to it. And I say value because it has kept most of us alive for whatever reason, whatever time. We have all responded to the need to do something about the trauma, do something about the anxiety. And as people of color, we have some automatic things that we always have done. We try not to invoke any other type of movement when we're around police. We try not to be in environments where we know we're not welcomed, and that would be threatening. So we do what we have always done as people. And now we've got some compounded trauma with everything that's happening politically and economically and what's going to happen tomorrow. And matter of fact, what's going to happen in the next 15 minutes. So when we look at how we take care of ourselves, there's some innate things that we can automatically do that we don't do. And I say this specifically to our smokers as well. One of the first things a smoker does when they feel stressed is smoke, right? But when you smoke, what do? You take a very deep breath and you blow it out really slowly through your mouth. Think about that. That's what allows a smoker to have a little bit more control over how they're feeling. You don't have to smoke to do that. You can do that automatically. There are a lot of other opportunities for us to even consider what do we enjoy doing and how often do we do it? A lot of times when we're feeling anxious, it's because we don't know what's going to happen next. Or even if we do know what's going to happen next, can we manage it? Can we control it? So how do you break that thinking down to a place where you can manage it in a way that it is not as adversely impactful? It's not making our heart race. It's not making our breathing shallow. It's not giving us a headache. How do we recognize the signals that our bodies are giving us so that we have a sense of control and management over just the next 5 or 10 minutes? And the other thing we do is forecast. And as people of color, yes, we have to do that. There are a lot of social determinants in terms of how we manage what we do. But what about the pandemic? That was just a few years ago. Who lives through a pandemic, right? So if you think about the stress and the outcome of even all of that and how our bodies are responding just to the environment around us, how many of us still walk around with masks? How many of us need to be walking around with masks? How many of us really are taking into account the other things that have led to us being exposed to infections or other diseases that we haven't taken control of? And one of the major things, and I really ask everyone to really and make a note of this, write it down so other people will know. Ask auntie, ask grandmom, ask nana, ask all of your relatives, have they ever had any problems with depression? Have they ever had any problems with anxiety? And you don't have to use those words. You can say, do you get sad sometimes? Do you get really sad sometimes? I know sometimes I do. Because if you can really evaluate how you're feeling based on your history, you are really way ahead in terms of how you can take care of yourself. And that medical history needs to include your emotional and mental well-being. That includes depression. That includes anxiety. That includes being able to manage what you're thinking, because if your thoughts are running away with you, something else is going on too, and it doesn't deserve to be ignored. And we've got a lot of things that we can manage now. And looking for practitioners that will hear us is another major piece of that, because that can be very anxiety provoking when you're talking to a provider that's not even looking at you, when you're talking to a provider that is discounting anything you've said, when you're talking to a provider and they turn around and ask you a question about what you just said. So take note of that, because that's also a very stressful environment to be in. Take note of that and recognize that you deserve better. And how do you make that happen?
And a lot of how you make that happen is knowing how to talk to a provider about what you need and how you need it. And you have a right to be heard. So that's just a small capsule of some of the things that can be done in terms of managing that. But I also want to recommend that you do what we call body scanning, that you really take into account what's different about your body right now. Are you breathing well? Are you breathing shallow? Are you breathing rapidly? Are you feeling dizzy when you stand up? Those are indications that something is not okay, not just physically, but mentally. All of it is intertwined, all of it is connected. If you are not well mentally, you're not well physically, you're not well emotionally. And that leads to rapid heartbeat, that can lead to a slower heartbeat, that can lead to eating food that you shouldn't be eating, that's going to make you sick anyway. So there are a lot of things that we can manage in terms of our diets. And I know you've heard all this before, I'm not telling you anything new, but the connection between what you eat, how much you eat, when you eat it, really impacts how you feel, which is how you emotionally respond. And so keeping that all into context is really critical in terms of next steps for you. And one of the other really critical things that I really want to leave with you that you are empowered to do is journal. And I don't mean writing pages and pages and pages of anything. I mean making a note to yourself. I really feel awful today. Wonder what's going on with me. Let me think about it. Or in order to change how you're feeling, if you do feel awful, what am I grateful for? What is the one thing I'm grateful for? When you wake up, what are you grateful for? When you have children in your life, ask them, what are they grateful for? What makes you happy? What makes you feel good? So often we focus on what's not working. So often we focus on what's not making us feel well, and that is where we stop. But we don't turn the corner and we don't ask ourselves, this is wrong with me. However, what can I do to manage it? And please stop watching the news. Please stop.
I want to be
Stop
very clear.
yourself.
Even I'm watching Netflix, y'all, because it's a little too stressful. Dr. Lisa, I want you to know people in the chat are saying, I feel calmer listening to Dr. Lisa already. This is why I need you a therapist.
Simone, can I add something before I forget? Dr. Farmer talked about oral health, and she mentioned inflammation. So when you get the plaque buildup in your heart, it's not just cholesterol, it's inflammation. And some people would say that the mouth is the window to the rest of the world. Your human bite is probably rougher than a dog bite because we have so many bacteria in our mouth. And that bacteria can get into your bloodstream and not only cause, quote, plaque buildup, it can cause something called endocarditis, meaning infection of that bacteria gets down into the bloodstream and just chews your valves away. So that's important to know, that a lot of people don't even know about how oral health is important to try to protect their heart valves. And if you have a couple of different situations where you've had a valve replacement, you had like a heart transplant, you've had some kind of tissue put in the heart, you always have to take antibiotics before you go to the dentist.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
They're going to be in there scaling and flossing. And when you floss, if you're flossing hard, that, your gums are bleeding, that bacteria can get into your bloodstream and just float right on to the heart valves and stick onto it and cause a terrible thing called endocarditis, which is hard to diagnose a lot of times. I want to piggyback on Dr.
Wow.
She said some stuff that I'm glad she mentioned, the genetics, something called epigenetics, where the environment actually influences us. And people say, oh, slavery happened a long time ago, or this happened a long time ago. But that stuff is passed down. If you imagine growing up in a house full of trauma and rage, all you have to do is think about it 50 years later, and that adrenaline and cortisol starts all immediately, and you relive it right then and there. There's a guy named Walter Cannon in the 1940s. He did some studies on voodoo death. So he looked at countries that believed in, that had, like New Orleans and Haiti. And if someone felt that they had a curse put on them, they could become physically ill, right? And when we do these placebo-controlled trials in psychiatric medication, 40% of the people that get a placebo get better, right? Because there's a mind-body connection.
Right.
This was the same person that came up with fight or flight response. Everyone knows that, right? You're gonna fight or you fly. That's the adrenaline building up. And that leads to a potential cardiovascular issue called Takotsubo's cardiomyopathy, or broken heart syndrome. In particular, in particular women actually who've had stressful events, they can actual full-blown heart attacks. And when you do the angiogram like Ms. Whitley had, the arteries are completely open, but you've had a heart attack. And they believe that's due to all the adrenaline surge from really stressful events that cause the heart to spasm, and you have the heart attack. Takotsubo is Japanese for octopus pot. So that heart balloons out. It looks like a pot at the end, and the tip of the heart doesn't work anymore. You actually had a heart attack, but not from blocked arteries, but from adrenaline surge, our cortisol building. And again, more prevalent in women.
Wait, Dr. Robinson, can I get your phone number? You know, are you showing out? You done said all kind of words I can't pronounce. I don't know where they from. Now can you die of a broken heart?
Yes, that they initially started calling broken heart syndrome at first, and then because that stressful event.
Okay.
And the theory behind that is really, that spasm of the artery. If I put a tourniquet around my arm, I'm not going to get blood flow to it. And if I leave it up long enough, my fingers will start dying off, right? So if my arteries in my heart spasm, just like your 70% or 80% blockage, your heart dies off. But with this, it opens back up. The arteries open back up. And when you do the angiogram, you look into the heart, it's much better. Dr. Cooper-Lucas, can you mention about exercise and your natural endorphins versus having to depend on other things?
Well, yeah, because I was going to ask about the Ozempic and the GLP-1s and everything, because the ladies are talking about it.
That won't help you with the stress.
Dr. Cooper-Lucas, before you go there, I want to go to Ricky first, because I do think that, unfortunately, breast cancer is something that has touched so many people in our communities. My mother is a breast cancer survivor. She's a warrior. And I'm just wondering, Ricky, for folks out there, what have you learned about the connection between breast cancer treatments and heart health? What should patients be mindful of before and after treatment? And I know Dr. Reginald may have some thoughts on this too, but please, Ricky.
Great, so happy to be here. Good to see you, Simone. And before I even start, stress definitely caused my breast cancer. So we can talk about that in a minute. But my God left me here to do this work, is to really advance science for Black women. And we're now learning from a bunch of scientists that guess what? Black women who've had breast cancer are more likely to get heart disease, and vice versa. Black women who've had heart disease are more likely to develop breast cancer. In fact, Black women are 3 times more likely to develop cardiovascular disease after their breast cancer diagnosis. And we really don't know why. We need more science. But the state of breast cancer for Black women, we are in a crisis. We have Black breast cancer. It's a different disease. We have a 41% higher mortality rate than white women. We have a 39% higher recurrence rate than white women. The worst statistic for me is Black women under 35 get breast cancer at twice the rate of white women and die at 3 times the rate, well before they would have that first mammogram at age 40. And a lot of that is we're 3 times more likely to get triple negative breast cancer, the worst one. That's what I had. We don't really know why, but we do know now. We're seeing the science about that. And Black women are 9% more likely than white women to be diagnosed with advanced stage breast cancer. And guess what? Black women who don't get mammograms on a regular basis are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with later stage breast cancer. So it's really important to take care of yourself. But we now know there are biological differences in Black breast cancer. I was recently with a scientist that we're working with on a Cancer Grand Challenge, who showed me a picture of a white breast cancer cell, triple negative breast cancer cell, next to a Black triple negative breast cancer cell, what they look like under a microscope. And I am not a scientist, but they look nothing alike. They look nothing alike. They look totally different. And so the drugs that we have are, guess what? Made for white breast cancer cells. And so we're dying because we don't have the science and the drugs that we need to really make a difference for Black women. We're working on a wonderful study with Dr. Melissa Davis at Morehouse School of Medicine, a Cancer Grand Challenge, to figure out how this is what's going on. And it's about the genetics, the genomics, the biology of your cancer cell, the epigenetics, the exposomics, your environment. But all these things are factors in breast cancer, and it's definitely affecting us from from a heart perspective. You know, we've actually now signed up 23,000 Black women for clinical trials in the past couple of years, Simone, just really because we think it's so important to do this. Two major drugs that we take from breast cancer, Herceptin and adriamycin, are really give you cardiotoxicity. And it's really two of the major treatments that we take as breast cancer patients are causing future heart disease. And, you know, the ecosystem always wants to sort of talk about the social determinants of health and lifestyle and access to care. And all those things are factors. They're all disparity factors. But now the science is different and we just need more science. We don't have enough. We really just don't have enough. We're getting later stage disease and it's likely to recur. Like my breast cancer, I took a lot of drugs. I had a mastectomy. I did radiation. It came back within a year. And so I ended up doing more chemo. So now it's been, you know, my doctor gave me 2 years to live. I'm on 13. And now in the last couple of years, I've been diagnosed with severe sleep.
Hold on, Ricky. Hold on. Your doctor gave you 2 and you are on 13.
I'm on 13.
I am just gonna clap for that because we cannot let that moment go by.
Thank you. This is my God job, you know. But now I have high blood pressure. I have elevated cholesterol. I have severe sleep apnea, all in the last 2 years. And so now I'm starting to take blood pressure meds and stuff. And my doctors are saying it's because of the drugs that you took, because I took all those drugs. So I sleep with a CPAP and I'm now taking blood pressure medicine, but it's just out there, you know. We have a wonderful scientist, Arnithia Sutton, she's at VCU, who's doing a 5-year study now on heart disease and breast cancer linkages to see what's causing it. And her study is showing that hypertension and blood pressure are definitely happening in women who've had breast cancer. So we really have to talk about it more, you know, and I tell women every day, be the CEO of your own health. Know her story. And I think our doctors have talked about this today. Talk to your grandmas on both sides of the family. And we have a bunch of tools on our website for that, but talk to them. What did they have? What did they die from? Who had what? Whether it's cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure, whatever, but know her story. Know what you're all about. Know your bodies. Know your numbers. Check your breasts, check your breasts and get your mammograms. And if you're under 40, check your breasts, know your body. And if you have a risk in your family, talk about it with people. We don't, as Black people, we just don't talk about it enough at the kitchen table. And manage your stress. We've heard that from every doctor. Manage your stress. Your peace is non-negotiable. I had to learn that when I was sick. I had to go to a psychiatrist when I was sick to get deal with the mental issues and emotional stress of breast cancer. And I had to get rid of all the other cancers in my life. So think about what brings you joy, because your peace is non-negotiable. So be the CEO of your own health. Eat the right foods. Take a walk. Move your body. And don't let your body fire you.
See, woo! I just need to woosah for a second. I want y'all to know my notes are noting. Okay, I've got lots of my little post-it notes over here because everyone has dropped so many gems. We have a lot of questions. I have a lot of things I want to follow up on, but there's a through line here, and I hear about many people have noted about advocating for yourself. That it is mind and body and your mouth as well. We have to exercise. We touched on that a little bit. So first, Kim, did you make any lifestyle changes post the stent, the straw being put in? And then Dr. Lisa and Dr. Reginald, I want you to dovetail off of that. And please tell us about these GLP-1s and the semaglutide and the Ozempic, because a lot of people, as Ricky just noted, she was taking drugs for her breast cancer that have contributed to issues that she has now down the line. I'm wondering if that's the same for some of the things that, are hot in the market right now. But Kim, did you make any lifestyle changes? Are you walking? What are we doing?
It's a lot. That's why I need everybody's phone number. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. I need to understand, because this does happen to you. And then you're like, yeah, I'm going to change it. But then you don't really. Because now I'm thinking, I do have hypertension, but I was like, do you think the hypertension medicine can give me breast cancer? See, I never even asked that question. See, these are all the things that I don't know. And really, they tell you to work out, but really, why do I have to work out, Dr. Robinson? What does the workout really do for your heart? Is it cleaning out your arteries? What is it doing? It's making the muscle stronger, so I can understand that. Because when I got the stent, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do all of this. I did it for about a month. And then I went back to my regular lifestyle because I don't have these forms that we listen to. I work out, but I was like, how much do I really have to work out? You know, I walk up, and then this is another problem, doctors. I'm like, oh, the medicine gonna fix it. I'm on medicine. I'm okay. That's how I feel. So we say lifestyle changes. I would say probably the most thing is I don't drink alcohol. I'll drink some wine, but I don't really drink alcohol. And you know, the partying, the stress. I still have the stress. I have a 14-year-old son, and I'm traveling, so I didn't change that. I kept saying I'm gonna be vegan. Didn't do that. I don't do processed food, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm looking at my elliptical right now. It got clothes on it or stuffed animal. It's pretty bad.
We're gonna have to dust that elliptical off. We're gonna dust it off. Okay, doctors, Dr. Sheree, Dr. Lisa, Dr. Reginald, weigh in here. Because let me just tell y'all, my husband went to the doctor a couple months ago. He came back from his doctor's appointment with his little list. All of a sudden, the sugary drinks is gone. He got me drinking flavored water. I'm like, I can't find sugar in the house. Is this really gonna be helpful? Did the doctor say we all had to take the sugar away? But you know what? I feel healthier, but I don't work out like I'm supposed to. I do a little walking. Okay, I done lost some weight, but do I need to lose more weight? What does the workout really do for me? Can't I just take the drugs? This is what people want to know.
So I wanted to piggyback. That was a wonderful presentation, Ms. Farley, about breast cancer. And there are several medications. She mentioned one of the adriamycin. They call the mycins. There are these new drugs called checkpoint inhibitors. And don't forget about radiation. If you're getting radiation on the left side of your chest, what else is over there? Your heart. If you have left breast cancer, and back in the day, they used to give high doses of radiation. It doesn't just stop in your breast tissue. It goes through everything there, the heart valves, the arteries, the muscle of the heart. And you don't see the effects of radiation until 10, 20 years down the line. So you have to be really aware of what happens and what kind of treatment you got. Before you get any of these chemotherapeutic medications, and if it's one of those drugs that Ms. Farley talked about and some of the newer ones, ask for an echocardiogram so that you can get a baseline ultrasound of your heart. So once you've had a mammogram, you don't want anyone pressing on your chest with a probe because it's going to hurt. You'll get a baseline ultrasound of your heart so that when you do get these medications, which can cause congestive heart failure, they can cause weakening of the heart muscle down the line, and that may not happen right away. It may happen a year down the line, but at least you want to get a baseline echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart, so you can see where your function is. And they have specialized echoes that look at how the heart's moving and how stiff it is. So I would say that before you get all your therapy, you should start asking, what are the toxicities? Do I need an ultrasound of my heart? In particular with breast cancer. Those are some of the medication. And I wanted to ask you, Simone, do you have a favorite gas station or a favorite gas that you put in your car?
Yes.
What is that?
The most expensive one, because that's what it says on the thing that I got to put in the car. And
Have you ever
my husband tells me to go to Costco, but I don't like to wait in the line, and I can't use my Amex. So
have you driven up to a gas station and put in regular, or thought about putting in regular?
No, because it'll ruin my car.
So just put diesel in there or whatever. Doesn't matter, right?
What? Oh.
I'm getting to a point, and I say this to all my patients, right? They will take care of their car better than they take care of their bodies. You never go into a gas station and say, I'm going to put diesel in my car knowing that it needs high test gas, right? Never do that, because you know it'll tear it up. They don't have advanced auto parts for hearts, or take it to the luxury dealer to get your new kidneys, right? So treat your body better than you do your car. That's what I always tell patients, that those are the things that we have to look at. And there is no magic bullet out there, whether it's Wegovy or Ozempic. And when you look at the fine print, it'll say you need to do the work. You need to exercise, you need to burn it. And exercising actually increases your sensitivity to your own insulin receptors, especially when you're working out the large muscle groups. It's going to help pull that insulin in and that blood sugar in and use that energy as fuel. So if you're just there getting Ozempic, and you may lose a lot of weight without doing the other stuff, but you're going to get it back once you stop, right? So it's hard to get it now, because even the diabetics are finding it hard to get, because more people are using it for obesity. So there is no magic bullet. You still have to put in that work. And a simple thing that goes across many of these diets and fad diets, what do they say? Get rid of all the white stuff.
Right.
White bread, rice, potatoes, pasta, stuff made out of flour, sodas, juices. And what I tell people, you meet people where they are. I'm not a vegetarian. Most people can do 2 or 3 days of plant-based, right? You can pick your 2 or 3 days a week, and that can be your plant-based day.
But are you saying this, Doc? I need to know. Like, if I was a vegan, would I not have a stent? If I was on this elliptical, I need to know if I just live this way, what's going to happen?
No, not necessarily. But I always say, imagine if you weren't doing some of the right things, how sooner it would have happened. So it's not just one thing with the plant. But when you mix mortar up, right? It's not just the sand. It's all the other things that when you put it in the right context together, you get it to firm up and to get hard. That's what happens to plaque. So 30% of the people that come in with their first heart attacks, if you look at their cholesterol value, it's not going to be through the roof. It may be an LDL. Think about the LDL is your lousy cholesterol, and the HDL are your happy cholesterol, the good cholesterol. So they all are acting different. All LDLs aren't the same. It could be the smaller ones that are worse than the big LDL, right? So you still have to put in the work. The exercise component helps to build muscle mass. As we get older in general, we need to do lean muscle mass building, right? Putting the fitness and strengthening the joints around, the muscles around those joints, so we're not falling when we get older. So we can have that stability. And it actually helps burn calories along with cardio. And I was asking Dr. Cooper Lucas about exercise and endorphins.
Yeah.
Those are the natural stress hormones that actually helps to decrease that overall versus the cortisol, right?
Yeah.
So it's building up your own natural stress releasing hormones to help you with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing too? I love your analogy with the gas. One of the ways I describe clinical trials to people, because it's really, people just don't understand how the science works, is I say, or you have the iPhone 16, right? You love it, right? But what if you could get the iPhone 20? Right? So I'm always like, what's the best science you can get for your body? What are the best things you can do for your body? So look to the science and look what's happening. The other thing is that in breast cancer, we are clearly finding that the drugs are not working for Black women because they were never tested on our bodies. And if you think about it, any chemo that you take as a Black breast cancer patient, you're doing a clinical trial in your own body because you don't know how it's going to work. And these drugs like Ozempic and even a lot of the heart drugs, where were they tested? Most of the heart drugs were tested on 50-year-old white men. And so I'm not convinced that we have enough science about our Black bodies, our Black female bodies, our Black male bodies to know that these drugs are really effective for our bodies. And so I think, Ozempic, I think to me, the jury's still out on whether this drug is even what it's going to look like in 10 years from now, right? Because it wasn't tested on Black people.
Dr. Lisa, I know you want to get in there, and then Dr. Sheree, we have some dental questions that have actually come in from the chat. Folks, put your questions in the chat. We are watching it. I would know, Dr. Reginald, people really love the car analogy, and it's making people really think about what we've been doing. Dr. Lisa, chime in here.
I just wanted to add one additional thing in terms of exercise in increasing the neurotransmitters that improve quality of health. You actually feel better, even if you don't want to do it. Even if you don't want to go outside, if you walk up and down the stairs in your house a few times, if you move around your house, just walk into every room and walk out. And if you do that a couple of times a day, you've done something even more significant when you create a routine that gives you the opportunity to raise your neurotransmitters, to increase your dopamine, to increase your serotonin, to really look at how your body is feeling, because that's what we're talking about, especially for women. We're moving 100 miles an hour all the time, taking care of a million things at one time, and we don't attend to how we are physically feeling and how we are physically responding to a situation, which also impacts our emotional and mental health well-being. And I'll turn it over to
I do want to just say something.
Go ahead.
You talked about stress, and sometimes people don't even realize that they're stressed or that they're experiencing, and they can come in and we'll see, our teeth are not naturally flat, but we can look in the mouth and see that your teeth are flat. They've been grinding their teeth, and we start asking, well, is your jaw sore when you wake up in the morning? Is your neck sore? And there've been instances where we end up referring them for mental health because we're realizing that they are actually having stress because they're grinding their teeth at night and don't even realize it, or they're clenching their teeth.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times you can see that in the mouth and help patients realize, you're stressed and you don't realize you're stressed.
Dr. Sheree, we had a question in the chat specifically. It says, I heard that mouthwash kills the good bacteria that helps digest food. Should we still use mouthwash?
We should still use mouthwash because it does help to clear some of the loose particles and to get rid of some of the bacteria. It's not going to kill all of the good bacteria that's in your mouth. It's not going to do that unless you're abusing. Anything that we do at an abusive level is going to be harmful to us, and so it's no different with mouthwash. But typically, we'll say when you brush your teeth, it's okay to use mouthwash as well.
Okay, another question from the chat, and then I want to throw something out there about clinical trials. Question from the chat: can you have a stroke if you have low blood pressure?
Well, there are two different types of, quote, stroke. One is from a clot. That's probably 80% of the causes of stroke, where a clot breaks off or you have plaque in the heart, in the brain. And the other, maybe 10-20% are from bleeding strokes. Like you've heard someone say they had an aneurysm. But yes, you can have both of those with low blood pressure. Usually less likely to have a bleeding aneurysm that ruptures from lower blood pressures. We always say you need to make sure your blood pressure is well controlled. And can I just mention something about the thinking about all of us on this call and many people in the audience? I go to this little coffee shop around the corner and they sell local artist stuff. And they just had something on the wall, a little piece of cardboard and a little pill bottle with a bowling trophy on top. And they had it called What's a Talipram? And the title of it was Vicarious Trauma. And I had never thought about those terms together. And it really stuck with, this is what I feel on a day-to-day basis. So teachers, social worker, people that take care of other folks, whatever it is, you take on those things and you can't realize what's going on with you. You just don't know, you just don't feel well. And we tend to ignore that or not know to even go look for help with that. So our blood pressures go up. We feel anxious. We grind our teeth. You get jaw pain from grinding your teeth. So that vicarious trauma, when I saw that, that really stuck as a part of people that are actually helping other folks.
I'm gonna use this on TV tomorrow. I'm gonna be like, you know what? People are experiencing vicarious trauma. Y'all gonna catch it in the morning. I want to talk about the clinical trials, because one of the questions in the chat was, why do a lot of Black women fear clinical trials? But I want to add on top of that, I mean, I don't want to have this conversation in a vacuum, but we are living in a time where we looked at reporting today that we're going to use on our show tomorrow that talks about that there are people who are in the middle of clinical trials right now whom, because of an executive order that has come down from this current administration, they've been cut off from the clinical trials. We talk about the need for funding specifically to look into the effects that some of these drugs have specifically on women of color, Black women, Black men especially. But honey, I feel like in this day and age, they're going to call that DEI. So are we in danger here?
So I would start by saying we did a research study about 4 years ago to kind of understand, because I'm a marketing person, I wanted to understand what's in people's heads about clinical trials. And what we learned was two things. First, Black doctors don't invite us to trials. Correct. So they don't invite us, especially white doctors, right? For whatever reason, illicit bias, whatever, racism. But secondly, and equally as important as, I think I'm going to get the sugar pill and die. That's what I hear. So in cancer research, there is no sugar pill. Now, some research study may have a placebo, but in cancer research, you're going to get standard of care. So you're going to get the iPhone 16, but you could get the iPhone 20. And so you're going to get standard of care or something on top of it or something new that could be better. And because we know that drugs aren't working for Black women, a clinical trial, especially if you're under 40, is really your best treatment option. And again, I'm not a doctor, but that's what I recommend. Go do the clinic, because that's the best science we have right now. It's the best science we have. Now, I had the same reaction when we got all this information about DEI and NIH and all the things that they're doing. But I've been working with the pharmaceutical companies that make the breast cancer drugs that we use for about 8 years now. And we've been working on diversity in clinical trials for about 8 years with them. I mean, and I've spent the last really 5 years helping them recruit Black women for their trials. And so I called them all up. So what's going on? What are we doing? And they basically said, you know, Ricky, we were working on diversity in clinical trials well before the FDA mandated these diversity plans. And we're going to continue to do that. So I think from a pharmaceutical perspective, the people that are really investing in testing the drugs, they're going to keep doing the right thing. And that's what they've told me. And I've talked to, you know, really most of the companies that are making breast cancer drugs. And I would say that's across the board, that they see the value of the science. Because if they don't, it's not good science. It's not good science. And so NIH can do whatever they want. And I think, you know, Republicans get cancer too, and they get heart disease too. And I mean, so at some point, health and the health issues for all of us are going to prevail. And somebody's hopefully going to take a stand and do the right thing. But I believe the pharmaceutical companies have so much invested in getting the best drugs out there that we have to sort of trust. And I'm going to fight that every day. I yell at somebody every day about getting Black women to trials. So we will keep, you know, pursuing it from our perspective. And I think a lot of the advocates in health, like myself, are doing the same thing.
That is good to hear about the pharmaceutical companies.
And they've had to be pushed to get to that.
They have, and they're not all doing it great, but I think their hearts are in it and they want to do it. And frankly, even the FDA mandate that they made last year to insist on getting diversity plans were for phase 3 trials. So there are several phases of drug development. By phase 3, that drug is in the birth canal. And so it's really too late. If you don't test the drugs in earlier phases of research, you're not going to really solve the problem. So that FDA mandate really didn't mean much anyway.
And it may not always be malice. It may be that they just even think about it. Like, okay, this population, we still have this population that we're doing our studies on. And we still have to bring our folks along as well with trust of being in clinical trials. You know, they interpret the things like the Tuskegee syphilis experience. That was different.
I was going to say that. Henrietta Lacks, somebody wrote in the chat about Henrietta Lacks.
That's where they're withholding. They were withholding stuff from someone versus, you know, Henrietta Lacks. They just took her stuff. And so it's different when we're talking about clinical trials and Tuskegee and what the OB doctor did with Black women with doing stuff with anesthesia, where they have a statue of them in Central Park, right? So they've learned from us over the years, but we have to sort of gain that trust, you know, as physicians, as people that are approaching the people that they want to get into these studies. And we're not a homogeneous group, just like you can't say, oh, they don't have a Latino, you know, population. You have people from Spain versus South America versus Central America. So not homogeneous. So that's a tricky part as well.
But our data shows that if you explain how the trial works, how the science works, and in words people can spell, in concepts they understand, the trust issue goes away. It's really a fear of the unknown and not knowing what's going to happen to you. But when you break down the science to them and explain it, also from the voice of a patient, a blessee, the voice of trust, you know, people trust me more than they trust their doctors because I can talk about lived experience.
And that's why it's really so important for people to learn how to talk to their providers, because they don't listen. Providers don't listen to women, and they definitely don't listen to women of color.
So that's one of the questions we got, Dr. Lisa. What are some tips and tricks? Because one of the questions talked about medical anxiety that people have. You know, that they dread going to the doctor, and then when they get there, they don't know what to say sometimes. How can we, you know, what are some one-liners we can use to advocate for ourselves at the doctor's office? Because everybody can't get on Dr. Reginald's schedule, even though these ladies in the chat are looking for your contact information, Dr. Reginald. I'm just telling you.
I put it in the chat.
Well, there are several things that I would recommend. And one of them is you can just Google questions to ask my doctor, and it'll give you a list of questions. But the other piece of it is there are some providers that intentionally make you feel uncomfortable because they don't want to answer your questions. They don't want you to question them. And if that's the kind of provider you have, get another one. Find another provider. Ask family and friends who do they have that they like, that they would recommend that you go to, because you don't have to stay with someone that won't listen. And nowadays, a lot of the businesses, a lot of the medical practices are big business, And there is a chain of command that you can say, look, I don't want this provider because of X, Y, and Z. They don't listen. They don't care what I say when they do make pretend they're listening. So the first thing I would say is be familiar with your body. Know what you are concerned about in terms of your body. If you're going for your regular checkup, then be aware of the systems that will be assessed. Checking your blood pressure, checking your respiratory rate, checking whether or not your digestive system is working as well as it should. Checking, and if your provider doesn't ask you if you've been to the dentist, that's a problem. They should be asking you, when's the last time you went to the dentist? So they're just some real basic things, but please, everybody, ask your aunties, ask your grandmoms, ask your cousins what kind of things they were dealing with when they were your age. Ask them, how did they overcome? Ask them, do they know of any of the relatives who have passed away from the same things? You have no idea how valuable that information is to you just to advocate for yourself. I can walk into a doctor's office and say, I've got 4 generations of folks women before me that have had different types of cardiac issues, and explain which ones they were. I couldn't remember what one of my nanas had, but I knew she took nitroglycerin. That's all I could remember. But at least I remembered that significantly enough to explain that to my provider. So if there's medication that your loved ones are taking, find out what that is and why. Why are they taking it?
Right.
Because that's also an indication for you that you may have that coming down the pike as well, or can you avoid it? So
Right.
it's just really connecting with family and asking questions. And if you got to look in the medicine cabinet and write down the names and stuff, do that too.
I do that in my house. I want to know. I asked my husband, I said, now what is this? I'm Googling. Dr. Sheree, I want to go back to you very quickly because this made me think, are there questions we should be asking our dentist?
Well, you know what? I was just getting ready to jump in and say, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you go to the dentist and they say, oh, you have periodontal disease, and you're just saying, oh, okay, you don't know what that is, say, can you explain that to me so that you understand? This is not a situation where you fake it until you make it, or I'm going to pretend like I know. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. But some of the things that you should be asking, when you go to the dentist, they do a medical history. So they ask you, do you have a history of high blood pressure, diabetes? Do your gums bleed when you brush? The reason for that is those give indications of there's some infection or something going on in your mouth, or is your neck stiff when you wake up? Does your jaw hurt in the mornings? That's an indication that you might be grinding your teeth. So just like the question in the chat was about the mouthwash, a lot of times they'll ask you, well, what kind of toothpaste should I use? Or is it okay to use this? And so you want to always use a toothpaste that has been FDA approved. And so, whether it is, there's a big thing now about fluoridation and should there be fluoridation or not, but studies have shown that the fluoride that is in toothpaste, that is in water, is of a small percentage, and it helps prevent cavities. So asking questions, if you notice something changing in your mouth, sometimes you can be looking in your mouth and all of a sudden you look and it's like, look like my teeth have grown. That may mean that you're having recession. What is that? Your gums are moving away from your teeth, and so you're having more of your teeth exposed. That may be because you're using the wrong type of toothbrush. You're using a medium or hard bristle instead of a soft. You're brushing too hard. So as they said, know your body, know your mouth. And when you notice that things are changing, ask those questions.
Now, Dr. Sheree didn't say it, but I'm going to say it. The people out here without using the fluoride toothpaste are the same people with the natural deodorant. I'm not there yet, okay? I need the stuff in the deodorant because it don't work for me. I need the fluoride, okay? I'm not trying to have my teeth falling out. Kim, I love some questions from the group, but Kim, are you going to get, you know what? If you get on your elliptical, I'm going to take a walk tomorrow.
But listen, okay, I'm going to challenge you. If we do something for 15 minutes at least, like we got 15 minutes, we got to start. And I know before when I was doing that, I was doing 15 minutes, but then I gave up on that. But you're right. And when we get on the phone, we will talk and do business on the phone. We can walk around our house while we're on the phone. It's simple things that we can do. And I've done it before, but then I dropped off. And I just have a question to the group. This is so frustrating because as I've gotten older, I don't understand why. There's a couple things. Why I didn't learn this as a child. I wait now after, you're over 50. Now you learn the things that you already need to. This should be a part of life. And I say that because I was fortunate enough to grow up in a house where I learned this, which I'm teaching my son, that I go and get my teeth cleaned twice a year. But if my mother didn't do that, I would not know that. So I think about people that don't grow up in that kind of house. I go to and get a physical every year. My mother at a certain age told me to get a colonoscopy. So we learn this because of our parents. But what if you're in a situation, certain parts of society that they didn't learn that? How do we, this is just a big question, how do we learn this in school or learn this young so I don't have to wait till I'm now to get on a panel and say, daggone it, let me hurry up. I got to do this. I got to do, to save my life.
There's something called social determinants of health.
Yep.
And if you look up zip codes, there's a study in Time magazine that looks at how zip code determines your life expectancy. It's a guy named Elijah Wolfson. Wow. And he has these maps that you can hover over. There's a map of Washington, D.C. There's a map of Chicago. There's a map of New York City. Mm-hmm. If you hover over Southeast D.C., there's specific social determinants of health that you will put, like age, smoking history, educational level, salary. And you go up to upper Northwest DC, the life expectancy can be about 20 years difference, and you live in the same city, right? Mm-hmm. So those are the things, and we're looking at all these crazy things that are about to happen. And the sickest of the sick in our country have Medicaid a lot of times. Yes. And those are the people that come in that don't come in until they're extremely ill, right? Because they may not have access to good care. So it's a blessing to have someone around you to be able to tell you that or to put you in the right direction. So social determinants of health is an issue why cardiovascular disease has been the leading cause of death since the last pandemic in 1918, right? Oh. So up until COVID, right? Because we look at it as, oh, you must not be eating right, you're exercising, you're obese. No, that's just the peak of that pyramid. The bottom of that pyramid is all the social determinants, how you live, how you pray, how you educate, how you're policed, all those environmental factors that play a role with it. So that's why it's important to have all these different people on this call, right? Because I can't do it. I mean, all I can tell you about the scientific part of it. So
I have a couple questions from Eventbrite. And Dr. Sheree, I'm going to start with you. You mentioned periodontal disease, and one of the questions from Eventbrite was, how does periodontal disease affect blood pressure? And is there a connection between gum health and hypertension?
Again, it goes back
what
to
is it, first of all?
So with periodontal disease, it is a gum disease, and there are various stages of that. You go to sleep tonight, you wake up in the morning, and you're going to have some plaque that's on your teeth. So the first stage of it is what we call mild, where you just have plaque that collects. As it advances and you get calculus, and then you start to get bone loss, that goes back to what we were talking about. That means that you have infection going on. The more infection you have going on in your mouth, the greater bone loss with plaque and calculus that you can have. And so that bacteria, that infection getting into your bloodstream, impacting your heart, putting more pressure, can be associated with blood pressure and heart disease. And it all goes back to the simplicity. We talk about cleaning our house. If you don't clean it, dust is going to collect. It's going to continue to collect over time. If you don't take care of your teeth, plaque builds up. That plaque becomes hard, and it becomes calculus. And it is what we call the silent killer of the teeth, because you can be going along. It doesn't happen overnight, happens over time. You'll work going along and everything is fine. And all of a sudden, bam, you start noticing that your teeth are loose, and you finally do go and you've got excessive bone loss. And then you're starting to lose teeth. But the other part of that is that means that you've got severe infection in your mouth that's associated with bacteria that can get into your bloodstream and impact other parts of the body.
You asked her about questions that they should ask their dentist. Another question that you should ask your dentist, if you have mild or moderate sleep apnea, right? There are
Yes.
dentists that can do an oral device versus putting that mask on your face for mild to moderate sleep apnea. That helps to pull the jaw forward to help prevent that obstruction. And we know that sleep apnea can be a major cause of arrhythmias. You see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talking about AFib and hypertension. Every time you stop breathing, your oxygen goes down, and that stimulates your brain to produce a lot of adrenaline. So you might wake all the way up or wake up out of a deep sleep into a light sleep. So the next day you might have headaches. You're tired the next day. Your blood pressure is all over the place because the adrenaline is still high, and you're having palpitations or irregular heartbeat when you can be treating the sleep apnea. And dentists, there are dentists that specialize in sleep apnea.
And it really goes back, especially with our young people, and we're seeing that they're having asthma, and you're talking about them having difficulty with development. And as he said, going to the dentist, doing a sleep study, and dentists being a part of that, and then making devices for them so that they're not having to wear, the mask and the CPAP machine. But if it's a mild case, being able to have a device. From your dentist.
Ricky, a question for you from the Eventbrite, and we kind of touched on this, but this is a specific question about cancer patients. Federal health agencies have been directed to pause any projects that impact research, including clinical trials. What guidance do you have for cancer patients undergoing treatment at this time?
Again, at the end of the day, the trials for the drugs are going to come from the pharma companies, and they are all in to do the right thing at this point. So I think if you are in a trial and it's being run by NIH, then you want to find out what drug you're taking, if you don't know already, and contact the company that makes that drug, and find a doctor that can help you. I mean, your doctor should be able to help guide you with that. But I've been hearing a lot in the last week or so about people's studies are stopping. They can't get access to their meds, but just know what you're taking so that you can go find a source for it if you need to do that. Besides, if it's happening with NIH. So just, again, know your bodies. And just to add to the earlier conversation too, Simone, Black health is not something that we talk about as people at our kitchen tables. And so all of these things need to happen at home. We have an HBCU internship program where we engage young pre-med students. And we basically say, go make a video with your mom and your grandma about your health history, about her story. And so we try to facilitate these conversations, but everybody needs to sit down and do it. And, my family, I drive them crazy on Thanksgiving. I'm the cook. You can't eat my food until you tell me your numbers. And then when everybody goes around and says, what they're thankful for and then what they're grateful for. Okay, well, what's your A1C? What's your PSA? When was your last mammogram? And I make them put it on the table before they can eat my food that I cook. You want this mac and cheese? We got to talk about it. And so I think we, as people, have to have these conversations and do the work. And, Amanda had a prophylactic mastectomy last year because I have 3 generations of breast cancer. And so we don't know what's going on. I don't have any genetic mutations, but we were able to talk about it and say, okay, what are your options? What can you do? How can you be the CEO of your health and do the right thing by your body? But families have to talk about it. And somebody's got to be the catalyst in the family to make these conversations happen.
We have about 15 minutes left. I have one more Eventbrite question, and then I have a very specific question for Dr. Lisa. Then we're going to go around the horn with final comments. I will note the people in the chat are looking for the doctor's contact information for their follow-up questions. I think that we, first of all, we do this every year. Okay, so I want you all in the chat to come back and bring a friend, but also I do think it's important that people find the professionals and the healthcare teams in their various spaces and places where they live that can give them the 360 support that they need. And we are all here to be a resource. But Dr. Reginald, this Eventbrite question is for you. Does hormone therapy have any effects, positive or negative, on heart health? And if so, is there any difference between the hearts of postmenopausal women versus the rest of the population?
So that's changed over the years. We should give oral contraceptive or hormone therapy to help think that it's increasing or helping your cholesterol values. But when you look at risk benefit, the benefits weren't there compared to some of the risk of clotting or affecting blood pressure. So that fell out of favor many, many, many years ago of using hormone replacement therapy and cardiovascular benefit. Postmenopausal, you can have a lot of different things, you know, from hypertension. It's a metabolic system that's changing. So you can have changes in your cholesterol values. So from that standpoint, it can affect the blood pressure as well as cholesterol values.
This is why you're the expert. Dr. Lisa, before we go to final comments, I moderated a panel this summer about Black men's mental health. Why they had me moderate it, I don't know, but I learned a lot. And one of the things that the psychiatrist on the panel said, who was a Black psychiatrist, we were talking about, you know, people that have, you know, everyone shared their story of battling depression and anxiety. And I think I've shared with people before that I fell into a deep depression after my father died about 5-6 years ago. And the psychiatrist said something to me on that panel that I want to throw out to you to help the people here. And I told him, I said, you know, I went to therapy for about a year and I didn't realize I was depressed until I went to therapy, and it took me a year. He said, it's great that you went to therapy, but if you would have also seen a psychiatrist, you could have climbed out of your depression quicker. He said that there is a stigma in our community about going to see a psychiatrist. And we need to break down the stigma. So I'm just wondering, from the mental health perspective, you mentioned psychiatry just a little bit, but do people need a therapist and a psychiatrist? If they want a Black one, it's hard to get one. It's like a unicorn out here. Talk to us.
It is very difficult to get a Black psychiatrist. One of the, I think, additions to the healthcare system has been the nurse practitioner. The nurse practitioner has saved the day in a lot of respects, and some of them focus specifically on mental health. So you don't have to see a psychiatrist necessarily in order to get the type of medication you need. You can get it from a nurse practitioner. The other part of it is, as a community, we've always accommodated mental health from the perspective of taking care of our own. And if Uncle Joe could not navigate socializing very well, it was okay. He could stay in the bedroom and we would take his food up to him. And that's sort of historically where we have been. Now it's a lot more difficult to do that because families are so disjointed and live in all parts of the country. And the social determinants of mental health and health in general and mental health specifically are really, 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 really bad. And so when somebody is depressed, more often than not, people will say, oh, just get over it. You'll be all right. You know, it'll go away. And it's not going away because your body has changed. Your body chemistry has changed and your brain cannot make itself do better. It needs help. And oftentimes that means medication. And so I encourage people to reach out to nurse practitioners who actually spend a lot of time with you trying to understand what your needs are, and they can prescribe medication. Psychiatrists are very difficult to find. Black psychiatrists
Unicorn,
are
okay.
unicorns, yeah. And so they exist, but I know the ones that I do know have 5, 6, 7 a year long waiting list. Nurse practitioners do not. So I would encourage people to consider that as an option.
Such great information. The chat is going crazy. I just, you know, the time that we have left, I want to invite the panelists to go around the virtual table and let's give some parting words of advice on the heart of the matter. And then after this, I have some very big prizes to give away. So I want you folks to stay with us. And Kim, I'm going to start with you. Your parting words, your advice, what you learned today, all the things.
Of course, you would start with me. Of course, you understand. I'm so full, and so I've become a student, not a panelist. I am writing notes and trying to remember so many things. And really, my takeaway is that in order to be really healthy, it is everything about the body. See, sometimes we think the teeth aren't important. Our body is connected by everything. Our mind, our mouth, our heart, you know, of course, our breasts, our feet, everything we have to know. I guess the thing I'm walking away is being tuned with yourself. Really know when you feel different, when something is going on, ask someone for help, ask someone if someone knows someone. But the most important thing, I think, is to say something. Say something to somebody, because it might save your life. And I have also learned to just, even if I can't talk about the past, but today I can start living better. I can start doing better today. And I thank everyone for putting in me what I missed out on. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Dr. Sheree, final words.
I want to say I certainly agree with Kim, and it's all connected together. And it's very important that we don't take our mouth for granted. Caries is one of the most preventable diseases that we have that you can prevent by taking care of your teeth. And I'm reflecting on one of the questions that Kim asked recently. What can we do about those communities that don't have the resources that some of us have? And I think that's why it's important for organizations like the Links Incorporated, who is intentional about the African American community and making certain that there's education, that there are resources. And so there's power in numbers, and it's important for us to collectively work together, not just the Links Incorporated, but all of the social and civic organizations. The church is still the trusted faith-based organization of the Black community, the Divine Nine, our HBCUs. Everyone that is on here, if you are breathing, you have a duty and an obligation to not only take care of yourself, but to do your part to educate the less fortunate, because heart disease, diabetes, periodontal disease, all of these are diseases that disproportionately affect the Black community.
Dr. Sheree Farmer-Dixon, thank you very much. Miss Ricky.
I just want to end with a scripture. It's 1 Corinthians 6:19. Your body is your temple. It was bought with a price. And you have to own your body and be responsible for it. And I said before, your peace is non-negotiable. Know your numbers, reduce your stress, move your body, do all the things. It's your temple. It's a gift from God. This summer, we're going to do 6 days of programming in Martha's Vineyard between August 9th and 23rd. So join us there, but we're going to try to use that opportunity to educate the leadership of all these organizations that we're all a part of, to really just try to bring it to the community. I like to say we go where Black women live, work, play, pray, and slay, and try to educate. So educate people about it. Talk to your families, talk to your friends, but know that your body is a gift. And, I choose order, simplicity, and peace, creating space for my blessings to increase. And everyone should do that.
Thank you, Ricky Fairley. Dr. Lisa.
Yes. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here and to share this information. And one of the things that I really want to emphasize as a people, we have been through Reconstruction, which is happening again. We have survived Reconstruction. Voting didn't happen for Black people really seriously until 1960. That wasn't that long ago. People who were born in 1960. And so let us really look at how we manage today with what we have available to us. You know how to eat. Even if you're not doing what you should do, you know what you can do. You know how to take deep breaths. You know how to slow down. You know that you've got gratitude. So create a package for yourself that says, when I'm feeling this way, this is what I need to do for me. You can bring yourself down. And when you can't, get yourself some help. For those of you who work in major businesses, companies, a lot of them have employee assistance programs. I started my career there because that's where Black people were. And I knew that if Black people didn't have to pay for help, they would come and get it. And that's what happened. So look for your employee assistance programs. Look to your churches for counseling. Look to the community centers that offer counseling. Get yourself some support, some help, some guidance. It doesn't mean that you're broken. It means that you're smart enough to know that you need support.
Oh, yes, Dr. Lisa Cooper Lucas, thank you so much. And last but not least, our Physician of the Year, Dr. Reginald.
So a couple of quick points. Dr. Lucas talked about, if you're not happy with your physicians, go somewhere else. None of us will go into a store shopping and be treated bad and go back to that store, right? Second point would be if your senior parents are going to the physician's office, have them to call you while they're in the office so that you can be on the phone if you're at work, so that you can be a part of that conversation, because a lot of the tech people don't, many physicians don't know how to talk down or don't know how to really explain stuff. So that's okay to do. I tell my patients all the time, if they're by themselves, some of my senior patients, call your daughter or call your son while we're here. You can put them on FaceTime. That's quite appropriate. And if you have blood pressure or hypertension, take your blood pressure monitor with you to your doctor's appointment. So when they check your blood pressure, you check it right behind them with yours. If it's close, then we know that you can trust your blood pressure readings at home, because you might be nervous going to the doctor's office, and you go in there, they're going to check it only once every 6 months, and they're going to change all your medicine based on that one blood pressure reading. So take your blood pressure monitor with you when you go see your doctor. And last but not least, Ms. Whitley mentioned lifestyle change. It's total lifestyle change, right? There's no one thing that's going to do it. It's mind, body, soul, spirit that this temple really needs. It's complex like a car, right? You can't go in there thinking that this pill is going to fix it over here without getting rid of the mental health issue, or this mental health issue is not going to impact your blood pressure or an ulcer in your stomach. So total lifestyle change, you could call it TLC. That's also tender loving care. So that's the one way of looking at it.
Thank you to our amazing panelists. I got so many notes, okay? I appreciate you all.
Me too.
Chat, appreciate you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To find out more about our panelists, y'all check out our digital program book. I have thoroughly enjoyed serving as tonight's moderator. I have my assignments. I know you got yours. We are going to be intentional about our health. Well, I want to be in order and on time, so it is 8:59. And the last thing I have to do is give our grand prize winners, announce them actually. So, little drum roll, please. For our winners, again, check the chat for information and instructions on how to redeem your prizes. Grand prize winner number 1 hails from Bethesda, Maryland, Gail McDonald. You submitted a question with your registration. It was asked live, and you are one of our grand prize winners. Your prize includes $100 worth of gift cards, dental wellness and spa facial package, courtesy of Rochelle E. Hackey. She is from the Patuxent River, Maryland Links chapter. And Be Affirmed, a designer kimono. Okay. Congratulations, Gail. Check the chat to claim your prize. Grand prize winner number 2 hails from Ashland, Virginia. I'm talking about Marilyn Minor. Your question, you submitted it with your registration. It was asked live, and you're going to receive these great prizes. Dr. Yolanda Holmes Dermatology. We love Dr. Yolanda, okay? Laser treatments, $1,000. Dr. Yolanda is from the Arlington, Virginia Links chapter. A massage at Nilu Med Spa, courtesy of the Leading Niche from the Arlington, Virginia Links chapter. Also, okay, Marilyn, I need to come where you're at, because you're also getting a spa package from Beauty Imagine Spa, including a hydrofacial, my favorite, a facial analysis, and facial products worth $600, courtesy of Dr. Rochelle Hackley from the Patuxent River, Maryland Links chapter. I obviously need to go visit the Patuxent River Links. And $100 worth of gift cards, a strand of pearls with matching earrings, and a bracelet from Marie's Jewelry and Associates. Congratulations. We have a grand prize winner number 3. Hails from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I'm talking about Monica Spruill. You submitted a question from registration. See what happens when y'all submit questions from registration? It was asked live. You have won a round of golf and lunch for 2 at the Army-Navy Country Club in Arlington, Virginia, courtesy of Arlington, Virginia Links member Laverne Chapman. We love Laverne. And $100 worth of gift cards. And you also got Derek Rutledge's, and you know, Derek is Oprah's celebrity makeup artist. Every time she's beat down, Derek did it. You are getting his Holy Grail product, Perfecting Your Purpose Serum Package. You're also getting Vista's magazine subscription from Soul of Sonoma. Congrats to you, Monica. Check the chat, honey, because if you don't claim it, I will. Now for our mega grand prize winner and our last winner of the night. Drum roll, please, ladies and gents. This grand prize winner hails from Bowie, Maryland. I'm talking about Giselle Whitfield. Giselle, you are a grand prize winner. You actually registered the most attendees tonight. Your question was asked during the panel. Yes, Giselle. Giselle, you have VIP tickets to the Sherry Show. priceless. You're getting the Sherry swag box, also priceless. $100 worth of gift cards, a Cultura Botox treatment. Again, I need to get in on these prizes. Courtesy of Dr. Kelly Bolden of the Arlington, Virginia Links chapter, a Mistro Beauty product friendlies. I mean, Giselle, claim it, because if you don't, I will. Whew. Well, folks, we have made it. Again, congratulations to all of the prize winners in the live chat as well. Thank you for your participation. I hope that you have enjoyed tonight as much as I have. I hope we learned so much. Don't keep this information to yourself. Share it with others. You can share the Arlington, Virginia links live from Facebook. You will be able to replay it. I always do. And stay connected with the 15 DMV Links Red Dress Host chapters all year long. For another amazing community event coming to a city near you in March, we've got our annual Links Black Family Wellness Expo. Some of the local expos, they can also be found in that e-program book I was telling you about. Click the link in the chat, folks. Another special shout out to all of our incredible sponsors, our national partners, and to all the businesses who have donated thousands of dollars in giveaways. I mean, truly, truly, truly. Along with the Links member sister patrons from the Prince George's County, Reston, Patuxent River, Mount Rose, and Arlington chapters, thank you. Thank you, thank you, and thank you for joining us tonight. Good night, everyone. Remember, let's live long, heart strong in 2025, and I will see y'all in the morning, on the weekend on MSNBC. Have a great night.